Okay, I'm tired today. So I'm just gonna do one card. I'm also, because I'm getting into, I know a lot of repetitive things. I mean, they go into different aspects. I mean, I have notes for future stuff. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of hours. But as I say, it gives me notes for in the future of what needs to be looked at. Also, I should be getting today Governor Cuomo's book, the last book that he did about the COVID. And I think what I'll do is start reading through that. And I'm going to try and shorten these down because I know they're long. And look at the different, I mean, I'll see what I see. Until I start reading the book, I really don't know what I'm going to cover. So I'll do that. I mean, I'm concerned what's going to happen tomorrow with the rally. I guess so that's kind of where I'm just tired. I think I'm going to take the day off and do some artwork. So let's just pick one card. Oh, remaining out of politics. Okay, I guess well, I have one example, but it's also what is getting involved in politics really about, and particularly this applies to the expat wives clubs, which is the ruling elite women. I mean, that's, we got all sorts of organizations. You might say PTA, you might, there's various associations, organizations that are working not for having it all, the power women, but for the family. And that's where really, I would say, where my domain is. And so I won't get into the Hillary Clinton and the, Anne Marie Slaughter, getting into politics in a professional manner. I'll leave that on the burner. So let me just concentrate, because this gets into the story of ruling elite women and any type of nonprofit organization or association, and what exactly, because you're non-political, and this gets into what exactly is non-political. And I guess this was also brought up a little bit today. I was watching something about General Milley. There's all that, I can't keep up. And what civil servants, what their role is, because they have to remain non-political as well, in the same context as, in this case, the expats wives clubs. So I'm going to stay there, but it is an example that can be applied elsewhere. So this gets into a silly little discussion and debate and just vicious jealousy for Ingrid Betancourt when she presented her candidacy as a president of Colombia. That was in 2001. This was for the 2002 elections. Of course, she was kidnapped at the beginning of 2002, so she wasn't considered in the elections. But so Ingrid had launched her book, La Rage au Cœur, in France. She was this big, all over the news, Marie Claire. And I have to say, she did a good PR. It was a good PR strategy. You know, she knew she would get this support and all of this media coverage in France that she would never get in Colombia. So she, you know, she did that. Then she came back after she, you know, all over the place. I mean, not only was it in the French press, it was in the Spanish press. La Rabia del Corazón was the Spanish book. So she, you know, she did her groundwork in Europe, because, you know, she was going to have a forte there, and it would give her a voice and launch her into a stardom, into a position that gave her a voice in Colombia that she wouldn't have had otherwise. And I have to say, it's like the condoms that she passed out on that Septima when she was doing her senatorial campaign and scandalized her parents. Like, I can just imagine. Oh, I could hear my mother if I did something like that. I was cracking up when I read that story in her book. But anyway, I already told, but I was the incoming president for Bogotá Gay, which is the French Expat Wives Club there in Bogotá, FIA. And I had the subversive idea because I had gone to Ingrid's you know, launching of her book in Bogota, and listened to her speak, and I mean, I agreed with a lot of what she had to say. I didn't think that she had a possibility of winning the elections. I don't even think she got to 4%, but it was a voice that needed to be heard, and issues that need to be raised. And this is where it's important to have more than just a, you know, a dominating two-party system like in the United States, the Republican and the Democrat. There is the Libertarian. I mean, there are some other ones, but they don't have the same power, and it's part of all the money in politics in the United States, which is going global, as in the United States. So it's not quite so polarized, but it's important to have, like with the Bernie Sanders. I think he was maybe Green, I'm not sure. I think he was independent at one time. Or Ralph Nader. I mean, if Ralph Nader anymore, Nader had anyway. These opinions and these voices are important in the injection of questions in the political process, even if they are not going to win the election. In fact, just having this whole thing about just having a debate, I mean, the most horrific was the last Democratic debate where you had a whole frickin' slew of people up there. You'd be better, you know, give the in those debates, don't just have Republican and Democrat, give all of the different parties a voice there. Make it fair. Because even if they don't, you know, as I say, even if they don't win, they bring up issues that need to be heard and another voice. So as I said, I had this subversive idea of organizing a, you know, cocktail party, speech cocktail party. Well, we did sometimes at the French embassy. Now, if anybody had a problem with having it at the French embassy because it was on French property, you know, that would would have been fine. We could have found another venue. I mean, the Club de Banqueros is excellent. But, you know, there was nothing inappropriate, because I said, let's organize something for Ingrid with the through Bogota Gay, through the expat community, you know, advertise it, make it in a cocktail party, you know, a social event, give her a chance to explain in French, because, you know, this is in Colombia, so and not all of the French expats there. I mean, by this time, my French is my Spanish, I'm understanding everything. Still not the costeños, but not everybody does. So this would give an opportunity for everybody to hear Ingrid and what she was proposing. I mean, so I approached the president of Bogota Gay, September, October, maybe. And if we were going to do it, we had to do it kind of sort of quickly, because of Christmas time. I mean, December, January are dead months. You can't do anything because everybody's gone. So I went to her first, coffee morning, and I said, look, you know, I think this would be a good idea. Something, you know, she is a French national. She has been all over the news in France, and it would give the opportunity for the French community here to listen and find out also something about the local national politics. So yeah, nice. So then a couple days later, we have the board meeting, and oh my Lord, I mean, I was attacked. Well, actually, I don't know, but all of a sudden, everybody on the board, I guess, because these are the women from the French embassy, their husbands work there. This is getting into we are non-political. This is interfering in Colombian politics. We can in no shape, way, or form be involved in anything like this. And I was like, wait a second, I am not proposing a $10,000 a plate dinner at the French embassy to raise money for Ingrid's campaign. First off, we got a problem with you little ladies paying 85, 80. It would come out to not even at that point, it was like $60 to come to our gala dinner that nobody wants. And I keep on telling you, let's do something different. Like $10,000 or even $1,000, you know, like, yeah, right? Like, if I was proposing to raise money for Ingrid to somehow support her political endeavor, her campaign, financially or otherwise, or get us up on this podium with a Bogota Gay logo supporting Ingrid, I could understand how they would be upset, because that would be totally inappropriate. Of course, that would be in, you know, are examples of how ruling elite women, even if they're in a foreign country, because they of course, they're not going to, you know, get involved, as I say, in local politics. Well, if you're acting as a private citizen and you want to raise money for a local politician, I mean, that's your right. But in the context of a nonprofit organization, particularly one that's associated with and kind of connected to the French embassy. Because also our honorary president is the ambassador's wife. So yeah, as I say, if I was proposing to raise money, financial assistance, so Ingrid could get elected, yeah, I'd be the first to be like, you're crazy. But that we would be organizing a social event for a French citizen who's also presenting herself as a presidential candidate, so that the French community can find out about something about local politics, because also you have to understand, none of these people can vote in Colombia. So you know, even if she's talking to these people and they agree with her, and in that way we're promoting Ingrid, they can't vote for her. I'm just trying to get them to take a little interest in something other than going to the country club and shopping. I mean, sure, as I say, I knew where, you know, the artisans, you got me out of the north. Well, I even knew everything in the north, but you know, like, oh, you gotta know it, because it's all by word of mouth. And you got a new address, and you know, they do fantastic things there. So yeah, it was totally ridiculous, but I think it was also, you know, because I had suggested it, that it had gotten this. But I just, this is where, so I tell this story, there is an end, but so this is where I get into the expat wives clubs and the obligation of these women who do have a certain standing within these different communities, and countries and the ruling elite, and take an interest in the problems there and the issues there. It doesn't mean you're going to go out and become militant or start, as I say, fundraising for these people, but listening to what somebody has to say, whether it be the extreme right, the extreme left, even if you don't agree with that person, that's normal, or at least it should be normal. And I mean, it had much more to do with the jealousy of these little ladies at the French embassy for Ingrid and Astrid Betancourt, because Astrid at this time, and by this time, was the French ambassador's mistress. As I say, it was all very, you know, everybody knew, and I was like, well, excuse me, if his wife doesn't know, yeah. She was just very, very, and you know, a typical intellect, but either he showed up with Astrid or he showed up with his wife. And I kept on telling everybody, it's nobody's business except those three. Obviously, they're aware of the situation, and they're the only people who are concerned on those issues. Now, you should be more concerned about what the French government's policies are in regards to Colombia, rather than who the French ambassador is sleeping with. I mean, really, these are the issues that bothered these women. And I'm trying to say, listen to Ingrid, as I say, she didn't have a chance, you know, of winning the elections, but her voice was important. I agree with her platform. My platform is basically the same. Any corruption, accountability, you know, any corruption, particularly in the justice system, and peace. So those two messages, you know, it's the same as Ingrid. Now, why Ingrid and Astrid have, they're too busy with their important work to read anything I'm posting out there for the past 15 years is you know, whatever. Because it's like, well, Ingrid, I want to implement it, and until we get that in the United States, it's gonna keep on in Colombia and Mexico. It'll just keep on moving around. I mean, I know I've gone into this. This is the typical example of second generation. Her father was UNESCO, and at the beginning, 1960s, he came to the States. It was under it was a Kennedy. Can't remember if it was an NGO or attached to the American government. I think it was a nonprofit, but worked with Kennedy to have an influx to get grants for foreign students to come and study in the United States, get their MBAs, PhDs, on somebody else's money. But have they made a positive contribution in the interim years? No. And this is a perfect, you know, example. Ingrid and Astrid, how second generation of narcissistic ladder grapplers have just bought in, you know, drunk the Kool-Aid, and we just gotta grapple up the ladder of success and get on a podium and tell everybody about, you know, whatever our subject matter that we've chosen to make us look charitable and intelligent. I mean, it just, some people have some good things to say, but a lot of it is just absolutely cacophony. And this goes into, I always have to go into Jim Marrs, The Rise of the Fourth Reich, and Jane Mayer, Dark Money, because there's a lot of parallels there. And so to quote either or other one, I got to pull it out, and that takes time. But the idea, I think this is Jane Mayer, Dark Money, the idea of the Koch brothers, 1960s, 63 or 64, inundate Washington with think tanks. And this is a, you know, a Third Riker and now Fourth Riker tactic. And it just introduces cacophony. So, you know, her father, that's managerialism. You know, let's get everybody talking and squabbling over the world's problems. Is it capitalism or communism? When our real problem is managerialism, and let's slide it under the carpet and inundate the cacophony in Washington with managerialism. PhDs and MBAs who think they know everything, but we're able to pass the test, but nothing else. And of course, the left just jumped on board and said, oh, we're getting into this. This is a money-making business. We can all get rich quick here. And that's what they've all done. So, you know, again, let's go back into families. I mean, after Cuomo's book, I'm going to get into the Queen Victoria and all of her children, and how that kind of brought in World War I, World War II, and putting into women's positions of power has not produced the utopia world that all of the feminists claim. So, you know, we're Ingrid and Astrid right now. Ingrid's over in Oxford. Still, I don't know, she's been doing a human rights PhD or something for, I don't know how many years now. I know I've seen her on the podium with Balthazar Garcon. She's buddy with him. He's up a battle. I'm like, well, if you would stop investigating and trying to get reparations for the human rights violations under Franco and concentrated a little bit more on the now, you wouldn't be up Schitt's Creek without a battle. His critics in Spain say, oh God, the only thing that this guy cares about is getting up on a podium. And I agree, just like that, just like all the rest, just like all the rest. So that's the only part I'm going to do today, and I'll leave it at that. But you know, if the ruling elite women think that by actually, you know, listening to all of the different viewpoints, whatever the platform or agenda, I listen to them all, because each one of them have some legitimate things. They all then go off onto their you know, different interests and special interests of their members, but they all have legitimate issues to raise and to think about. And little ladies, that's part of your job. I mean, if you were given the ruling elite 10%ers, and then the 1%ers should be setting an example for the 10%ers, which they are doing, but it's an example of corruption and hedonism and you know, Machiavellian games, and this is what's trickling down. But you know, when you're a 10%er, as I say, before, when I was in Brussels, in Paris, I mean, we had a you know, a student that would live in the room, and I think that she would do a little babysitting, I think, for 15 hours a week. But that was the only time I had off. I was like, excuse me, the rest of the time I'm 24/7. So all of you people think you should be able to go to the country club and have Saturdays and Sundays off and have a little bit of you know, time for yourselves. Well, moms should too. And particularly if you're an expat and you have nobody else, you know, I mean, at least I'm not only my kids by themselves. So, you know, that was hardly like, oh, living the life of luxury. And I'm not complaining by any means, but, and then when I got to Bogota, well, yeah, I did. We were at the country club. I was able to, you know, I mean, rented a horse. My ex was going to buy a horse, although the horse that almost killed me, he wanted me to buy in Madrid. I'm like, yeah, you've never supported any, you know, any type of riding I do, and now all of a sudden this horse that very well could kill me, you want me to buy? So anyway, I was like, and we certainly don't have money for that. We had money to buy something in Bogota that you know, would have been decent for me. No money, and now all of a sudden for this, as I say, it was moved beautifully, but yeah, I hadn't expressed an interest in buying it, and I was like shocked. Should have taken the check and cashed it. I had known and stuck it in an account. Anyway, so ruling elite women have a job to do. It's not just sitting around like the housewives of Potomac and the housewives of Orange County and oh my Lord. Yeah, you sent me onto a luncheon with these ladies. I do think I needed 2 martinis and maybe a Valium. I'd be more likely to smoke a joint before going in there than taking a Valium. And I'm not afraid to say it. My Lord. We need it. I'm so pro medical marijuana, like you can't believe. What was something that I was seeing? Oh, it was this, well, I'll talk about that after tomorrow. It was the US Capitol, no. The chief of police of DC. Robert Compton, maybe. I'll be here for another half hour. I'm trying to reduce this. So, but I'll get into that. Oh my Lord, my Lord, my Lord. Okay, so with this one, well, we know I'm gonna win. Oh wow, I got another queen bee. I'm getting a lot of queen bees. I didn't mix it, but I mean, see, the thing is, people have been calling me that all of my life. I remember the first time that happened. Really, I do. And we were very, very young. And I don't know why, but I had fallen asleep on my sisters. We were playing some game or something like that. And I guess I had fallen asleep. And I woke up and they're all laughing and laughing and laughing and saying, oh yeah, queen bee, queen bee. So I distinctly remember the first time anybody called me that. So I'm like, you guys want to call me that all my life? Well, I'm going to use it now. So, oh, okay. Now, the 4 of Hearts, it's the Alice card. From the Queen. An invitation, talking about Queen Bee, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet. Which Duchess would like to play croquet with me? I'll play croquet with any one of you little ladies. So problem. So problem. So, okay, as I said, I'm hoping it should be coming in tonight. So I'll start on Cuomo's book. Oh, one of the best. Well, it was a typing. I mean, I'm not the greatest typer in the world, but a typing class when I was at Foxcroft, and a speed reading class. I don't even think anybody does that anymore. Be a good thing and teach these people to learn something, to learn more than just reading a tweet. And I mean, you know, in the class, the example, they go, not quite so fast for me, but it really, when you're scrolling down through something, and reading through something, I mean, you know, it's like some serious literature or Dostoevsky or Shakespeare. Oh Lord, I was like, would Shakespeare please learn to speak English? Yeah, it doesn't work too well. But anyway, it's not, it's pretty easy. You just can go through. So anyway, have a nice evening, and let's just hope that tomorrow everything will be calm. But I'll tell you, the Capitol Hill Police and DC Police, you are citizens of this country. And most of you, I mean, some of you live out in the suburbs, but still, you don't live here, you work here. So you do have an obligation, both as an American citizen and as a local, to take an interest in what's going on in this city. And say, okay, we have a job to do, our 9 to 5 and what we're being paid for, but we also have a job to do as American citizens. And as I say, take an interest. I talked to the security people. National Guard kids were a little bit more receptive and were listening to me. But the Capitol Hill Police, when I tried, I'll go up there and walk around, I was horrified by the fortress they had after January 6th. And I'll pass out my card and I'll give my spiel. I'm not aggressive, I'm not, but I am trying to inform them rather than just march up and down the street with a banner. Oh, that's okay. But if I try and inform you as to what's actually happening in Congress, the people that you are protecting, so that you will tell 2 friends, they will tell 2 friends, and they will tell 2 friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. And say, wait a second. Yes, we have a job to do. And yes, you're elected officials, but we're also not stupid idiots. And we are American citizens and have an obligation to say, there are some people out there, the little ladies with rolling pins who've been up here for 10 years telling you that family courts are handing over, our children to pedophiles, to abusers, and disempowering the women, and the courts are a mess. After 10 years of going up and going on and telling every single member of Congress, enough's enough. These guys, the evidence, I've produced the evidence, other websites. I mean, as I say, on War on Domestic Terrorism, you scroll through, I have a whole video library of all of the different people, and all, well, it needs to be updated. It's not updating properly. So some of the videos are defunct, but not only my documents, but all of the different organizations, all of the different people who have been speaking in that arena on there. So that I posted the evidence that debunks what everybody's saying in the press. So you guys want to go home and sit in front of your boob tube and listen to the propaganda. And then when I try and tell you the truth, go away, lady. Don't bother us. Don't bother us. Well, excuse me. You are in bed with the abusers. You are just as complicit as those little bimbos up on Capitol Hill that they have running around going to parties. And I'm talking about the male bimbos as much as the female bimbos. Don't tell me that you don't see what is happening. I saw it as a little kid. I was 17 when I started up there, 5 years. And by the time I was like, I don't want to be part of this. So don't tell me that you, as mature adults, do not see what is happening underneath your very noses. This goes the same with the people in the IMF, the World Bank, the UN, the State Department, the White House, everywhere else in Washington. It's just one big frickin' party. Oh, okay, I'll finish. Trying to keep them around. See, you get me riled up and I'll go on. I got myself riled up. But okay, this gets in, and I'm not going to get into this because I'll get into it later in detail, because this is one of the things that I'm just like, oh, come on. Because this is one of the criticisms I get. Not enough of party hardy girl. I'm not popular. I don't, buy into the whole golden age, like the Kennedy family, like the Crofties, and like just everybody else in Washington. No, I'm not. I enjoy. Believe me, I don't enjoy working 24/7. I'm exhausted right now. Yeah, I'd like a vacation, but I'm not going to have a vacation until I'm with my kids. For me, that's not a vacation. Because, no, oh, just forget about your kids. One judge actually told a woman, what are you complaining about? Shut up, you stupid bitch. Just go out and have some more kids. This is the mentality that the women are encountering in the courts. So this was an article that came out yesterday. It was at Albany, New York. It was a local newspaper, WNYT. Who paid for Cuomo's attorney briefing? Apparently, there was 2 briefings with the Glaplin. It's called. I sent her an email yesterday. I'll wait on Monday. I'll call up. I'll confirm. My card is laid. Like with all of that. I mean, Chris Cuomo, I sent him a tweet to anybody around Andrew Cuomo. I sent him a tweet. I said, check this out, and tell him that that's also a decision I guess he has to make. That you want to believe me, there's plenty of days I'm like, look, I'm done. Nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants a bloodbath. One of my sitting here beating my head up against a brick wall for nothing. But then I think of my children. Like, well, I can't do that. I gotta stand my ground, because I have 2 boys. I mean, Cuomo has 3 girls. I mean, for the moment, they can't be called up to military service. But, that could very well change. Everybody's pushing for equal rights for these women. If it got into a bloodbath and a civil war, there's nothing stopping for everybody to say, okay, you girls need to step up to the plate as well. Now, I can assure you, I'd say, well, yeah, you can put me in prison as a what did they call that in the Vietnam War? No, I won't. I loved Muhammad Ali. He said something about that. Oh, I loved it. I saw it on Facebook. He was like, no, I'm not going to flee, but you're not sending me to go and kill some poor Viet Cong, the poor people never did any harm to me. You won't fight for my rights here. Why should I give up my life to go and kill some people who never did any harm to me? I loved it. Muhammad Ali. Yeah, so I'm not gonna flee. You put me in prison for refusing to serve in your armies. I mean, it couldn't be that much different here. Just give me a laptop and I'll keep on typing away. My life wouldn't change much. But I'm certainly not gonna go and start killing people because you people can't do your job. So, every time I'm just like, boom, 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 up against a brick wall. I say the same thing, but nobody gives a shit. So, anyway, I did see that today, and I was just like, come on, you guys. Yeah, you could maybe look at this, and this is maybe inappropriate. But this is like so normal. This has been normalized. This happens all the time. It's not even considered abnormal for something like this to go on. There's, as I say, there's such unethics there that nobody even sees any problem until somebody, but my thing with the press with things like that, I mean, I'm not sure of what the laws are, what the standards are. So as I'm saying, if there is, I don't know if what that transgresses, what line that transgresses. Apparently, that she was there. There was some taxpayers who would have paid for a certain part of whatever was there, So yeah, it was kind of a gray area. But compared to what's going on, this is like, oh my God, cry over spilled milk. Why I am beating my head up against a brick wall trying to get you press to expose these problems as rampant. You won't give me the time of day. And then you pick drips and drabs because it's going to sell your newspaper because Cuomo all of a sudden is unpopular. Nobody likes him. Come on onto my corner. I'll tell you how to live when nobody likes you. I mean, this is Beverly Hills 90210 or something. I told my younger sister, I said, come on, Foxcroft, what reminded me of Beverly's 90210, I think this was called, or whatever it's called, just without the boys. She was like, oh, I've never seen this series. I was like, oh. You may be out in the boonies, but I don't think that's true. But really, it's all a popularity contest. So as I say, come on. If you're not popular, nobody likes you. We can be friends because nobody likes me. Okay, so have a nice evening. Good night.